Hey everybody, welcome back to Swift Lessons for another blues rock soloing tutorial. One of the most powerful skills that you can have as a lead guitar player is the ability to navigate up and down the fretboard without getting lost. Now when I first started playing lead guitar, I really had very few soloing boxes at my disposal. Really all I knew was just the minor blues scale. In its main position. All right, and that was great. I knew that I could take that scale, move it fret to fret. The note that I was starting off was the key that I was playing in, and so that gave me the ability to jam in a blues rock setting across keys and come up with something that sounded pretty decent. But it was also very limiting. So over the course of years, I learned a ton of solos and examined the positions that players were using, and I started to realize that all of the great players that I respected, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, David Gilmour, they were using basically the same 5 soloing positions. Now, there are plenty more soloing positions that you can and should learn outside of these 5, but the 5 positions that I want to share with you today are really what you need to learn if you want to be able to pick up solos quickly and also be able to navigate the fretboard with a lot of confidence. So I started off with that open position minor blues scale. But over time, I branched out to the upper extension of that scale. And I also figured out along the way that if you're playing in a major key, you can add in the major third. To make these positions sound a little sweeter. All right, from there I branched out and learned how to play the BB's box. I learned the major blues scale as well. And of course I can take that scale that I started with, the minor blues scale, up an octave and dress it up with some major thirds. So let's take some time today to address all of those boxes, learn them up and down the fretboard. Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with position number 1. This is where it all started for me, the open E minor blues scale. Looks and sounds like this. All right, that's gonna overlap with the E dominant 7. All right, the regular E major, and also the E minor chord. All chords that you can use this scale to jam over. Okay, so we had 0-3 on the low E, 0-1-2, 0-2, that's 1 octave right there, G string 0-2-3, the B string 0-3, and the high E string 0-3. All right, take a minute to pause and play through that scale a few times, get it into your muscle memory. Ascending and descending. Now, if you're playing over a chord like E minor, that scale is going to sound awesome, but you can also use it to play over top of major and dominant 7 chords. That also reveals an extra note that you can add to the scale, the major third, a G sharp note. Okay, now that you have the scale down and you can also picture that magic G sharp major third note you can add into it, let's get down a couple of licks that you can practice and loop into your muscle memory. Here's the example. All right, a great lick and also a very cool groove for you to get down. We're starting off hitting the low E string open. That's your drone note. It's implying the chord you're playing over top of, so E or E minor. Next we're gonna play. All right, some 8th notes. 3-0 on the high E string with a slight bend. 0-3 on the B. And then the open high E string to end that phrase. All right, then we can hit the drone again and play. All right, the G string, 2nd fret, sliding up to 3, back to 2, 0-1 with a hammer, making use of that major third before resolving. 2-0-2 on the D string, right there, ending on an E note. All right, put all that together and we have. And real slow, make sure you can count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... All right, that's gonna get us up to the next soloing position that you absolutely must know, the upper extension of that same exact scale, the minor blues scale, in this case key of E. We're taking the same notes that we have off of the B note, and finding them here. All right, so we have frets 4 on the G, 3 on the B, up to 5, 3, 5 on the high E, but then also finding fret number 6. The upper extension of the minor blues scale. Okay, now, same thing. Let's get down a couple of licks to practice in this position. The example is gonna look and sound like this. Real slow. Okay, so in part 1 there, we're starting off once again, striking the root note, implying the chord. Then we're gonna slide up to the upper extension, alternating between frets 4 and 3, G string and B string, with a very specific rhythm. All right, one more time, get it into your ear. All right, then we're gonna end this measure, hammering up a full step to fret number 5. Notice how I snuck a little vibrato in there. Right there. All right, then the second half. That's classic. We're sliding up to fret 5 of the B string, and then alternating back and forth. Frets 5 and 3, B string and high E string. All right, then we have this tricky little movement. All right, this is a little bit more advanced. We're going to be hammering up 5 up to 6, ring finger and pinky, and then 2 pull-offs in a row. All right, we're just plucking the string once. All right, and playing 5, 6, 5, 3. Before playing, 5, 3, ending with a slight bend. You put that together and we have. All right, and one last little thing I want to point out to you, that when you're playing in that upper extension, all right, it's always good to see an overlapping chord there. It just helps you to kind of place the position in context so that way you don't get lost. Well, overlapping with this shape, we have E minor, played as a D minor shape, brought up a full step, which transposes it to E. And we also have E dominant 7, and also the basic major. Okay, so always picture your chord shapes when you're learning a position, and it's gonna give you a few extra notes that you can squeeze into your chord. For example, that major third that we can see right there inside the chord shape. Okay, now moving on to position number 3, the super powerful BB King box. In a previous lesson, I pointed out that you can always find this position by first locating the root note on the B string. From there, it's going to be very similar to the upper extension. We're gonna be playing. All right, that's fret 6, 5, 7, 8. That's the minor third whenever you want a little bit of darkness, a little bit of that bluesy flavor into your playing. Then on the high E string, 5, 7. All right, and right there, that's your root note, that's your resolve note. Okay, now let's get a couple of licks in this position. We're gonna use the same rhythm and a lot of the same phrasing as the lick we just learned in the upper extension. Looks and sounds like this. And real slow. Okay, so in this demonstration here, I'm kind of dressing the position up by adding in some chromatics. Okay, that's always a very cool stylistic choice. Okay, so here we're using some very similar phrasing to the lick that we just learned. We're sliding up to fret number 6, and we're gonna alternate between that note and fret number 5. All right, then we're gonna play 8-5 on the B string. So. All right, into the next measure, we're immediately going to pluck the low E string once again, before descending chromatically on the high E string. 7, 6, 5. All right, then we're going to play minor third to the tonic. 8th fret of the B string, down to 5, repeating twice. All right, put that together and we have a great lick in the BB's box position. Okay, now moving on to your final two positions, and I say final two because they're going to share the same exact fingering. We're simply going to move them to different frets to achieve the major and relative minor varieties. So we started off with the open position minor blues scale. We can take that scale up an octave. Now we're on fret number 12. All those open strings are now going to be played with the index finger. All right, now that's the E minor blues scale. Now if we take that down 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, now, okay, same exact fingering, but now it's the major blues scale. Okay, so practice that, the major blues scale, starting on the pinky note. So same exact thing, but down 3 frets, starting on the pinky. And of course, now your root note is going to be on the pinky note. All right, let's see if we can get down a nice little lick that uses this position. Looks and sounds like this. And right there at the very end, I'm borrowing a note from the E dominant 7 chord, that D note, which is not part of this position, but it sounds great if you add it in. All right, one more time. Okay, so that began with the low E string. Next, we're bending the 11th fret of the G string up and returning before going to the 9th fret and then playing 11-9 again. All right, so far you have. Next, the D string, 11-9. And then we have this nice kind of country style roll. All right, that's the next measure. 10, 11 on the A, 9 on the D, low E string, and then immediately to the 12th fret of the D string. Put that together and we have. And real slow. Okay, now summon things up in the minor variety. We can take the same exact licks that we played at the beginning of this lesson and see if we can transpose them up an octave. Okay, so very simple. Open low E string, 15-12. 12-15, slight bend before hitting the root note, 12th fret high E string. All right, then the low E string once again before playing. All right, so that was 14 sliding up to 15, back to 14, then the hammer on, 12, 13, 14, 12, 14, resolving on the D string, your E note. Just like that. Okay, very well done everybody. You have some very cool soloing boxes to start experimenting with. But the next thing I want you to do is just get a little bit more context using chord shapes. For years, I memorized the position of these boxes based on their spatial relationship to one another. So I had my open position minor blues scale, and I just remembered that the upper extension was a whole step up from this note that we have here, in this case on the 2nd fret. And then I memorized that the BB scale is that kind of same box, but up a full step with a slight adjustment. And of course, the final two positions, I just remembered that they're 3 frets apart from one another. So take that minor blues scale down, minor 3rd, taking it down 1, 2, 3 frets, and we have the major blues scale. All right, now let's find some overlapping chord shapes. That way you can really memorize where these positions are, but also more easily transpose them to different keys. Okay, because we can use all these same solo and positions across all 12 keys. So the open position minor blues scale, we already know that overlaps with our open chord, whether it be E7, E minor 7, E major, E minor, doesn't matter. All right, the upper extension overlaps with the E minor chord shape in its D shape position, and also played as a D7 shape, just transposed up. The BB's box is going to overlap with the E major chord played as a C shape. The major blues scale is going to overlap with the E major chord played as a G shape. All right, very useful to picture. A very useful visualization tool. All right, and then finally, we have the octave of where we started, overlapping with the bar chord shape, E dominant 7. All right, and just like that, you're gonna have a much easier time memorizing the position of these solo-in boxes. The last step for today is to see if you can transpose it to a different key. So let's say we're playing in the key of G. Just bring everything up. Now we're starting on the 3rd fret. We have box number 1. All right, remember, take that G string note that we have here on the 5th fret, go up a full step, and we have the upper extension. Bring that up a full step, and look at that, we have the BB's box, but now in the key of G. All right, then we can find ourselves a G note here on the low E string. All right, backyard position, we have the G major blues scale. All right, then start on the index finger, same exact root note, and same fingering for the minor blues scale. All right, friends, I hope you found this useful. Remember, you can find tabs for everything that we discussed today at patreon.com/swiftlessons. The link is down in the description. And I want to thank my current patrons for making all these lessons possible. Until next time, this is Rob coming at you from the Jersey Shore, saying happy picking.